In recent months, members of my administration and officials of the Committee for the Re-election of the President, including some of my closest friends and most trusted aides, have been charged with involvement in what has come to be known as the Watergate affair. These include charges of illegal activity during and preceding the 1972 presidential election and charges that responsible officials participated in efforts to cover up that illegal activity.
Welcome to FNN. I am Robert Jurgenstein. We have just received some breaking news straight from Washington, D.C. that our President Richard Nixon has resigned and appointed Gerald Ford as our next president. Richard Nixon is the first president in our history to have stepped down from office. This is a result of Nixon's involvement in the Watergate scandal. On June 17th of 1972, several burglars were found and arrested at the Democratic National Committee inside of the Watergate building. The burglars were caught attempting to wiretap phones and steal secret documents from the Democratic Party. This was in fact the second attempt by the burglars. The men who were caught inside of the building apparently returned again because the wiretaps they had originally placed were not working properly. It was unclear at the time whether or not the burglars were tied to President Nixon or his re-election campaign, but later evidence proved that they in fact were. The White House re-election campaign phone number was found among the belongings of some of the burglars, which led to the discovery of Nixon's involvement. Here's footage of Nixon addressing the Watergate scandal.
As a result, on March 21st, I personally assumed the responsibility for coordinating intensive new inquiries into the matter. And I personally ordered those conducting the investigations to get all the facts and to report them directly to me right here in this office. I again ordered that all persons in the government or at the Re-election Committee should cooperate fully with the FBI, the prosecutors, and the grand jury. I also ordered that anyone who refused to cooperate in telling the truth would be asked to resign from government service.
Days after the break-in, it was also discovered that Nixon had given hundreds of thousands of dollars to the burglars as hush money to impede the FBI's investigation. Nixon also attempted to order members of the CIA to help obstruct the investigation, but this plan was unsuccessful. Under the pressure being placed on the conspirators involved, many began to turn on Nixon, admitting theirs and the president's guilt. 7 of Nixon's aides were indicted earlier this year in March on various charges that were related to Nixon and Watergate. Nixon was labeled an unindicted co-conspirator. One of Nixon's major aides from the White House, John Dean, testified to a grand jury that Nixon was involved and that Nixon taped all conversations that took place inside of the Oval Office. Prosecutors attempted to acquire the tapes, but Nixon battled this inspection, claiming along with his lawyers that his executive privilege as president allowed him to keep the tapes. After a 2-year battle, 3 days ago, on August 5th, Nixon released all of the tapes in his possession, and his involvement in the affair was undeniable. Today, President Richard Nixon is resigning, making history as the first president of the United States to remove himself from office. Later today, Gerald Ford will be brought in as the new president. Stay tuned for more information on Ford's inauguration.